what's going on, everybody? You're right on time for another ride on the Groove Line, and this is a very special edition of On the Groove Line because I have a very special guest today. This wonderful woman has written a memoir called Journey into Love. It details her friendships with her cousin and her best friend. And oh, by the way, they sung background on some of your favorite Philadelphia International, Philly Soul, Patti LaBelle hits. You name it, they probably sang on it. And it is my honor and privilege to have the last woman standing from the Sweethearts of Sigma, Miss Carla Benson. Carla, thank you for joining me today. How are you?
I'm Peachy. How are you? Happy New Year, and it's my honor to have that you're interested in my memoirs. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I told you I bought this on I bought this on Amazon in the Kindle app. Like I downloaded it to my Kindle and
Right.
I spent the entire day reading it. I just couldn't put it down. I finished it in one day. And it was such an it I left the Amazon review saying I was excited that you had written a memoir, but I just did not know how many emotional twists and turns that this book was going to take me through. So just to get us started, what inspired you to go ahead and write your memoir?
Well, once Yvette passed, and everybody kept saying, "You're the last one. You're the last one. You need to write a book. You need to write a book." Really, my friends and family and my sons. I have two sons that only know me as mom, and I wanted them to know me as Carla.
Right. And just talk. A lot of people don't know that writing a book is really an intensive process. Just
Yes,
being where you've been, just trying to remember everything that you had done over, the
50
25 plus
years.
years that you had been singing and, been doing all and just life in general.
Yeah.
Just what was that process like, writing all of that out and just take us through that process if you could.
It was once you decide to write a book and tell it, tell your life story, it was cathartic, it was energizing, it was sad, it was everything. It was enlightening, because now that I have survived some of the situations that I survived and I get to look back at it with different eyes. It was wonderful. It was very difficult because, as you know, some parts of my story are very difficult, and in order to tell the story, really tell it, you have to relive it.
Right. And just how hard was that to relive certain things? Like I mean the part where, Yvette goes back and just beats the dog snot out of that girl who said that really
Yeah,
nasty thing about her. Just how hard, I mean, just those types of things, the situations with, Barbara and the money and different things of that nature, just
yeah.
how frustrating, I mean, just how hard was that? Just, just remember all of that. Like, gee whiz, we really went through all of that.
It was hard and it was surprising because, as you know, as you start writing, you start to remember things, and then you can't tell everything. I still didn't tell everything.
Mm,
As much
mm.
as I did tell, I still didn't tell everything. But for me, it was just so enlightening. It was empowering because I'd come through it all and it helped me to see myself. Of course, I started the book with explaining my relationship with both Barbara and Yvette,
Mhm.
um, to help the reader maybe understand a little bit more why I allowed or tolerated some things that I tolerated. It was because our connection was so profound. And the bottom line for me was it was about the music. Journey into Love is not a romantic love story. It's about my journey into the love of music and singing.
And I just love the story that you, Barbara, and Yvette drove across the bridge to, meet up with Tom Bell, and you guys hadn't had a song planned, and you guys, went into a couple of standards, and I just kept laughing at the part when you said Tom would go back, be right back, and somebody else comes in, and
Yes.
you're like they're laughing at us, but you didn't know
Yes.
that they were just really enthralled by your performance. Just what are those? Just how? Just talk me through when Huff, said, you guys want to sing on a session. Do you guys want to, be in the music business? Just how did that sound to you as an 18, 19-year-old girl at that point in time in your life?
I was still 18, and it sounded and felt to me like the sun came out. Like the that heavenly choir that, oh.
Yeah. Hmm.
It wa- it was like because I had gone through so much when Barbara and Yvette first met each other. You know, we had that 3 hour dinner meeting and I thought everything was fine. I thought everything was wonderful. And then 10 minutes later, Yvette explodes because she freaking hates Barbara. And then 10 minutes after that, Barbara's on the phone yelling at me because she freaking hates Yvette. And I'm like, oh, hell no. We're doing this. Everything in me knew. Like, no, we're doing this audition. And so I was so busy trying to get them to tolerate each other, and then when we get there and realize we were so stupid, like we're going to an audition and never got a song together.
Mm,
Who does that? And then after, because I was petrified the whole time. You know, from the time he said, "Okay, let me hear you sing something," I said, "I'm going to pass out. I'm sitting down, but I'm just going to pass out." And then you know, Barbara, you know, just so many things were established in that moment. She excelled in tight situations, and so she jumped right in and giving us a little bit more time, you know, to get it together. I don't even know what she's saying, and then Yvette didn't care about it at all, so
mm.
she was cool. And then at that time I was only a classical singer, so when he turned to me and said, "And you," I said, I can't believe I went through what I just went through to get us here. And now my dumb ass is going to blow the whole thing because I only know an aria." And so they went into that huddle, and I'm busy in my head panicking and yelling at myself. And then we realized we knew that little bit of MacArthur Park, and I promise you it was 8 bars. The part that we sang was 8 bars, and then we had to stop dead because the rest of the song, you know, didn't lead itself to harmony. And I'm panicking again, like, oh my God, that couldn't have been enough. And then Tommy's face, he never changed the expression on his face. He just said, "Okay, wait right there." And he left. And he came back and said, "Sing that again." We never saw whoever, we knew he went and got somebody, but they stayed in the hall. He made them stay in the hall.
Hmm.
And he didn't want it a visual. He just wanted them to hear us. So he would go, he said, "Wait right there," and come back, and he peeked his head in the door and said, "Sing that again." And we'd sing it again. And then okay, wait right there. And he would walk away. We couldn't hear what he was saying. And he came back with somebody else and peeked his head in the door. "Okay, sing that again." And we sang it again. And he'd walk away. We couldn't hear what they were saying. I promise you, he did that 9 times.
Oh my goodness. Before and that was before, he had brought Huff to you guys.
And I didn't know who Huff was. And we were actually, when Huff was the last one, and we were actually putting our coats on to leave. Because after the 8th time, I said, "They laughing at us. We just making fools of ourselves. Ain't nothing going to happen here." That's the only reason we saw Huff, because we had opened the door and were walking out
Mm,
when when Tommy came back with Huff and he said, "Sing that again." And we were like, and we sang it again, and we were walking away down the hall with our
mm.
backs to them, and Huff said to our backs, "Y'all want to be in the music business?" Screech. I said, "Oh." Barbara and I were like, "Yes, yes." And Yvette was so mad. She she was so mad. And because now Yvette and I was 4 years old when I met Yvette, and she was 5. We were in kindergarten. So she has been the sister. We have been like really the sister of my soul. You know, I never had a little sister. I was 13 when my baby sister was born, but Yvette was my sister. You know what I'm saying? In every
Hmm.
sense of the word. And so we knew each other very well. And without her saying a word, I knew she was going to kick my behind, because Barbara and I were like, "Yay, yes, yes." You know, be at the studio at 12 midnight. 12 midnight, just ignorant. We were like, I thought he was playing. I really thought he was playing. 12 midnight, who does anything at 12? And Huff is very low key, very one note. You know, he didn't shrug, he didn't change his face. He said, "You want to be in the business, get used to the hours. You're gonna be there or not."
Mm.
We were like, Barbara and I were like, "Okay, yeah, we'll be there." And Yvette was squeezing literally, Barbara had one hand squeezing it as we were walking down the hall like that, like two little girls skipping and jumping and singing, and
Hmm.
Yvette had the other hand, and she was squeezing it so hard from anger. I thought she was going to break my hand because one more time. Now Yvette never agreed to do any of this. I forced her. She did it because I was her friend because I bugged the hell out of her.
Hmm.
She never agreed to do any of this. She was in school to be a special education teacher. You know, and when Barbara called me with I know this guy and there's a new record company, and he said if I knew two other girls, and do you know anybody? I said Yvette's sitting right here. She was studying. She looked up and really she cussed me out. I didn't write what she really said.
Which is funny in itself because there's a lot of colorful language between the three of y'all in that book, to be
Yeah,
quite honest with you. It's one of my favorite parts of the book. So we get through the audition, and obviously Philly International is fairly new at this time. Like 70, this is 72, right?
this is 70. This is February 72.
Yeah, so this is 1972. So this is before Love Train. This is before
Oh yeah, before all of that.
Love I Lost, all of that good stuff. Just
Yeah.
did y'all imagine that you would play such a pivotal part in something that would end up being the sound that everybody would copy for the rest of the decade?
We had no idea. There was no way to predict because who has a career as a background singer? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Most people go into the business because they want to work that front line. We did it. It was God. Honest, he opened that door and we just stepped through because who grows up and says, "I want to be a background singer?"
Mm.
That's not something you can imagine. And so we didn't know. Barbara knew because she was turning into this business maven, but I was in it because it was so fun when the three of us sang together, especially harmony to my toes. I love the way we sound. It just thrilled me. Yvette stayed in it because I threatened her life, and to get through that class, and then eventually the money because we were still in college. We were freshmen. Yvette and I were freshmen in college.
Hmm.
College students always need money,
Yeah.
and the music was so good, and so even as it was happening, I personally did not realize how in demand we were and this is somebody else, what a phenomenon we were until it was over.
Right. And
Somebody had to tell me. I was going through it 100% like I was like a kid in a candy store or a kid at an amusement park. I was just having fun. I didn't care about the business because of our position as background singers. The music industry, the business people, they talked around us like we were pets, like,
wow.
and the things that we heard that they were planning for and that they were doing to the frontline artists. I didn't want any part of that. I have a problem with authority. And so the things that they did to their artists, the things that they required of them, we knew that record companies back then would sign an act knowing that they were not going to produce them, knowing that they were not going to promote them,
Wow.
knowing that they were going to use them as a tax write-off because all record companies had to have a certain amount of loss.
Mm.
They had to show a certain amount of loss during their fiscal year. So we would watch them play with people's hopes and dreams, and know that they were not going to do anything. And then the artists, a lot of times they had signed a contract that said they couldn't work for anybody else for like 5 to 7 years. So the business part of the music business is really dirty.
I
It's a,
can
it's it's an awful business. It's an awful business. You have to be called to that business, and we were fortunate enough. I was fortunate enough. God opened and made it possible for us to be in the business but not in the business.
right. So just with that in mind, because y'all sang with a lot of people. I mean,
A
there's
lot.
there's the OJs, there's I was so happy to see you mention Dee Dee Sharp in that book because I feel like she was the most underutilized asset that Kenny had at that time.
Oh my God, Dee Dee Sharp. could sing her behind off. But Dee Dee Sharp, you couldn't get over on with her at with the business part. She was not about it, and that I believe that's why she never got as the attention that she should have gotten because you couldn't get over on her. She called it like she saw it, and sometimes she wasn't so polite.
Yeah, I guess
But
that's
she could, and she's not the only one. She's not the only one.
yeah, I imagine so because I was listening to Happy About the Whole Thing a couple of months ago,
Yeah,
and
boy.
you know that cover of I'm Not in Love is probably one of my favorite covers anyone's ever done.
Right?
And that's y'all on that too, right?
Yes.
Just in the studio with somebody like that who is real carefree, that's that knows they're good and knows that they're in a tough situation, but still delivers like that. Just what was that like to be able to record with with Dee Dee and anybody else who sort of was just like I don't want to say singing for their supper, but definitely trying to prove a point.
Dee Dee was we became like instant friends because I'm a straight no chaser sister, and
Mhm.
so is she. And so like the things that she would say, if you weren't like that, you would be shocked or intimidated. Well, I found it funny, so I would giggle, and that's all she knew. But she would get in that studio, and she would be there because she knew what she wanted from us. And so she would be like directing us, and then we gave it when we gave it to her, and she would say things like, "Yeah, I know so and so not gonna like this, but too bad, too bad." It was wonderful, to this day when we see each other. It's like, hey, we're happy to see each other because I have so much respect for her. I have so much respect for her because she's good and she's excellent and she's so pretty and she wasn't in for the BS. You can't get over on her. She was smart, but you got to play the game. To
Right.
work that front line and to be successful, you can't make the business people, the producers, the managers, the agents, you can't make them mad. You kind of have to just be a puppet. And a lot of times, the business people will see will have decided that you can get them because everything goes back to the money. That's all they care about is the money. And
Right.
so their plan of how they're going to get the money from you, the artists, a lot of times is way different from what the artist really wants to produce. But if you want to get out there, you have to just shut up and take it. Like most people, like the OJs, hated Love Train.
Ooh.
Patty did not like If Only You Knew.
Oh wow.
And I found out that most artists, the song that is their biggest seller, and listen to me, the song that are the biggest seller are not because of the song, it's because of promotion. You can record companies can buy a hit.
Ah.
It's a
Ah.
dirty business. They can buy a hit. Okay? It's all about the promotion. You can have the best song in the world, but if nobody knows about it, nobody will buy it. Back then, payola, you can pay disc jockeys, play this song 4 times, 3 or 4 times an hour, every hour that you're on the air. And if people hear a song enough, they'll buy it. Now there were a couple songs that got away from him, like "Ain't No Stopping Us Now" was not supposed to take off like it did at all. They had no intention of McFadden and Whitehead being artists, but they wanted to be, and so that was Spirit of God to me. It was such a good song that it got away from them and it took on a life of its own. But I watched that happen too. But it's just it's always about the business and it always comes back down to the dollar and it's not about the artistry, it's about the business.
That probably explains why so much not good stuff is on the radio today.
That 100% because they want everything to be, you have to be what they call commercial because there are people like Lettucey who can sing her face off and she's
Yes.
not a major star because she won't she won't be commercial.
Right.
She can sing, sing.
Yeah, she's always been just like a flat-footed talent and just, there are a lot of people like that that just sort of fly under the radar because now that I know, that, you put those, you drop those gems on me, it's like, wow, now it makes sense.
Yep.
So just, coming back to the memoir aspect of it. We talked about, the music part of it, but the things that go on, just how much in your personal life did you want to detail? And just how much did you feel like that was going to tie in with the singing? Because, there are a lot of, intimate moments that you share in that book. And just like, what was your thought process, putting those things together and trying to, make sure that, okay, maybe I'm saying too much, or maybe I'm not saying too much, but I still want people to understand the totality of my story.
Well, I had to the things that impacted me or that grew me um the most were what I included, even though I didn't include everything. Because if a particular situation led to a particular resolve or a growth in me, then I needed to include it. And some of the names were changed to protect the guilty.
Yeah.
Yes, some of the names and the situations were changed and altered because, for one, I didn't want to hurt anybody. Um, I wanted to tell my story, but I didn't want to hurt anybody. And for two, I didn't want to be sued.
Yeah, because I always remember that movie Drew Barrymore starred in a long time ago. Riding in Cars with Boys. You probably never seen it, but
Never did.
she was playing a teenage mother who was writing her life story, and she and her son had to go all the way cross country to find her son's biological father so he would sign a waiver so she could mention him in the book. So
Yeah,
I imagine, memoir writing can be kind of risky in that regard because, you got to dot all the I's and cross all the T's, as they say.
and
So
I wanted to tell my story, and I wanted to keep the integrity of my story. And that's why I said in the beginning, this is my opinion. You know, opinions are like assholes. Everybody
everybody
has
has
one.
one.
And
Yes.
so I'm allowed to tell my story. You know what I'm saying? Legally, I'm allowed to tell my story and express my opinion, because in the beginning I did my disclaimer. This is my opinion. But I tried to tell, I told what happened that impacted me, and I told my reaction to what happened. That's what I was doing.
Yes.
And I hopefully was telling also the lessons, because the lessons in the book to me is the main part. Like, this situation happened, it kicked my ass, and this was what I got from it.
Right. And when just I think because a lot of people today don't understand that relationships, whether they be family, friends, romantic, things can get messy at times. And it always just, every throughout every step of the book, it just always came back to me that despite everything that you, Carla, and Evette went through, like the first split, you, Barbara, and Evette, excuse me, all
Yeah,
went through for the first split, then another split, and then the
yeah,
final split. It was
yeah.
like there was still love there at the end for everybody. Just, how can you explain to people that, may not understand, because a lot of people are just so quick to cut everybody off these days. I think that's why people are so, lonely now because they don't have conflict resolution. So,
It's too much. It's too much reliance on technology.
mhm,
I was When I stopped singing, I'm a music teacher as well, and I taught in high schools in Camden, because that's who I love. I love inner city high school youth, and I watched the difference in the personalities in my classroom from when there wasn't so much technology to when there are, to now when there's not, so when there's completely reliance on technology. And what breaks my heart is that people are forgetting, they don't know how to talk to each other because they're
yeah,
so busy online. They're getting their information, they're getting their opinions, they're getting their perspectives from somebody that they have no idea who it is, but because somebody tweeted it or because somebody put it on Instagram, they will adopt it for themselves. But you
right,
can only experience life through life, not through a damn a thing in your hand, not through
exactly.
something in your hand. And relationships, there's something called, also, my relationship with God is crucial, because there's something called unconditional love.
Yep.
And unconditional love means that the people who you love the most are going to be the ones that hurt you. Because if nobody, if you don't love a person, they really have no problem. They can't hurt you. It's like, get out of here with that nonsense. That's stupid. But when you love somebody, they're going to disappoint you because they're not you, because they do things differently, because they have different experiences that are going to lead them and allow them to do the things that they do. But I learned the hard lesson that when people hurt me, they hurt me because I still love them. I still love them. If I didn't love them anymore, there would be no hurt. And so love is more powerful than anything. And in the end, love won. Love won every time, and that's God.
Right.
That's God. It's called unconditional love, and it brings you peace. It brings you fulfillment. It brings you wisdom. It brings you understanding. But you have to be willing to stay in there and with that person, whoever that is. You have to be willing to fight the fights, you know, and get over it or not, but still recognize I still love this person, but I'm not safe with them, so I have to limit my interaction with them. But my heart is still going to love them, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That
I agree.
doesn't, that stops the bitterness and the anger that you can hold on to, because then that starts to affect your body physically. Not having it.
Hmm. My mother tells me this all the time because I'm a grudge holder. So,
Oh yeah, you better cut it out, because let me tell you something. Physically, when you hold a grudge, it's like dripping acid onto your organs.
mm,
It really is. When you hold something in emotionally, it impacts your body physically. And in 5, 10, 15 years, you'll have high blood pressure, you'll have diabetes, and wonder where it came from. It came from the stress of holding a grudge.
yeah. So yeah, I do need to make some changes.
Yeah. And it's as simple as make a different choice.
Yeah.
Make a different choice. Accept that, okay, I still love this idiot. He's stupid. She's stupid. And I don't know why they did that. My heart still loves them. And I forgive them. I'm not holding on to this grudge. I'm going to let it go. That doesn't mean you got to have dinner with them. It just means you have to let it go, because otherwise they're going to make you sick.
Yeah, and I don't want to be sick. I
I know you
don't.
don't. But you
Don't.
have to realize what happens to you emotionally will impact you physically in the long run if you don't knock it off.
Fair enough. I let the lesson has been taught.
Okay, good. I
I'm gonna
did.
I'm good. I'm gonna make some changes.
Okay, I did my job today.
So I gotta ask about this because there's another part in the book that just absolutely made me drop my Kindle, and that was the Major Harris fiasco.
Oh my God.
And I joke about this on my podcast all the time, and I say, as much as I'm an old school music lover and I complain about the music of today, I always remember that there was somebody on Love Won't Let Me Wait. Donna Summer was doing it on Love to Love You Baby.
Right,
Marvin Gaye had a woman doing that on two different albums. And
right.
come to find out that was Barb, and you had to direct, like, what in the world? What was God rest Bobby Eli's soul, but what was he thinking?
He about getting a hit. That's what he was thinking. He wanted a hit.
Mm,
And he knew, first of all, Love Won't Let Me Wait stands on its own. It's a beautiful ballad.
hmm.
It's an absolutely beautiful, you can fall in love and make love to Love Won't Let Me Wait, but adding them sex noises. So Barbara, I could have punched her in her face, Yvette and I both. When he said, okay, we want some sex noise. We said, hell no. but but he said the magic words, I'll pay you extra. Now back then, $300 was a lot of money.
Right.
I mean, $300 back then was like maybe 3 grand now.
Wow.
She said, but Carla has to direct. You know it's a lot of the B word in that book, right?
Yes.
So it was like, B, you don't need me to direct. But Barbara was, it's like when you have a good, good, good friend and they got this devilish streak in them. And and the look on she had that devilish streak in her eyes. I'm like, I could slap the taste out your mouth. But she insisted and she had that look on her face. And so we were like, okay, heifer. So So here she goes. I got it. Carla has to direct. You know damn good and well you don't need me to direct nothing. she she just didn't want to. She wanted to do it. She wanted that money, and she didn't want to look like she was the one just being sexual. She wanted it to look like it was more of a business thing. It was more clinical than
Hmm.
actually physically sexual.
Right.
So I'm sitting there, and I did push and pull and stop, but she didn't need me to do that.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It was just a show. And then when Evette came down. Well, first it was like, okay, that was good. Can we get another track? Okay, now I really want to punch you in the face. We doing it again. Then in between the second and third track, it was, oh, you guys want a little bit of wine? I can order some food. That was not unusual. If there was a long session, the producer would offer wine or you want to get something to eat. That was nothing unusual about it between the second and the third. Oh, you want some wine? The light, the studio all dark. You want something to eat? No. And then Yvette comes down. We got to get the hell out of here. I'm like, what? She said, look, and nodded, and all I could see, because of the lighting was only at the engineer's station. And so the men were standing up. That meant they were only lit from the waist down.
Oh God.
And this is what I don't know where they came from.
Oh wow.
I don't know how they appeared. They just, to me, like, where the hell did they even come from? It was
Wow.
funny afterwards, but in that moment, I was like, oh my God, we're gonna have to fight our way because in that moment when she showed me what was going on, and then by the way, Bobby said, do you want something to eat and something to drink? I said, these people think we about to have an orgy.
Oh gosh. Mm.
it's
Oh man.
it's funny afterwards, but in that moment it was not funny.
Right.
It was not funny because clearly they were expecting an orgy. And why wouldn't they? Because of what Barbara was doing. She was sounding like she was having sex.
Right.
And she had done it for what, 4 minutes, and then she did it again. He wanted another track, and then he wanted another track, but he didn't want another track. Because y'all think from you know what I'm saying. That
Hmm.
little head is in charge.
Yes.
And if okay, because I grew up with five brothers, so I know what the movie is. So I'm like, oh damn, I'm gonna have to whoop her ass. So at that moment, it was just about getting us out of there.
Right.
So that's why Yvette had to stand behind the producer's chair to keep like to be the overseer. That's why she was there. Because when it got out of hand, it was like, okay, time to go. And we knew each other so well that there was a minimum of words that were required to get us out of there. It was like, I'm gonna take the coats and stuff out and make it look like we making room for them. You go get that heifer and let's get out of here.
Hmm.
And the plan to get us out of there took 30 seconds. 30 seconds. And when I called Barbara, because the door to the control room could close completely, and then there was another door that led into the studio. So the people in the control room did not see us leaving. When I called her from behind the microphone, and said to her exactly what Yvette had said to me. We got to get the hell out of here now. And she looked at me like, what? But she saw my face, just like I saw Yvette's face, and she never said another word. We just went out because there was another door that led out into the lobby. And so we just snuck out into the lobby, put our coats on, ran down those steps. We were actually laughing as we were running down those steps.
Mm.
And we were laughing, but we were mad. Yvette and I were mad. But it was funny because it was stupid.
Right. So just to put a cap on this, just when people read Journey into Love, what is the main thing you want them to take away from the book?
I don't know because different people because of where they come from, they have I get so many different reactions and responses to the book. So I guess I want them to know that what love will take you through. What you will allow because of love, and that love wins. my love of music, my love for Barbara and Evette, regardless of what we went through, that it was an awesome to me gift of God to be allowed to live that life, not just in the recording, but our time with Patty as well. I could not have imagined a better gift for myself. I could not have imagined a better life for myself than what I was blessed and highly favored than what Abba allowed for me to have. I have no regrets. I've had some hard moments, but looking back and having survived it all, I'm stronger, better, wiser because of everything that I've been through and the music that we produced, our legacy, our discography, is amazing to me.
Hmm.
I'm really discovering what we did now because at the time we were so busy singing. We were so busy. I really never listened to the stuff we did. I didn't have time. Because as soon as we got finished one song, I had to get rid of it because I had to do another song.
Yeah.
So I never really stopped and appreciated what we did. I'm learning to appreciate what we did even now because now I can marinate on it. Now I can and I love our sound and I'm so thankful to God, that He allowed me to have that life with those two women.
Ladies and gentlemen, Carla Benson, the Sweethearts of Sigma. Carla, thank you so much for taking time out to talk to me. Greatly appreciate you. And this is probably going to be one of the best interviews I do all year long.
Oh,
Everybody,
thank you.
anybody else that comes on this channel after this, you have some big shoes to fill.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But buy that book, y'all.
Yes, Journey into Love. It is available on Amazon now. You can go to Carla's website, carlabenson.org.
Yeah.
You can get a copy of the book there. You can find some photos of the Sweethearts of Sigma, Carla, and many other luminaries that, she met through her time in the music industry. So be sure to go do that. And ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all for riding with us on this edition of On the Groove Line. Greatly appreciate y'all as always. Contact information will be in the description below for myself. I will put a link to Carla's book in the description as well. So y'all go buy that book, go read it, go review it. I'm telling you, you're not going to want to put it down. So thank you. So thank you guys for listening to us this week. And until the next time we ride, may you find the groove or may the groove find you.
All right now. Thank you.
Thank you.